What up, guys? Today I want to talk about, is Dragon Ball just popular because of nostalgia, or is it because the show is actually good? Now, this is kind of an argument I've been seeing quite recently from a lot of people who don't like Dragon Ball. A lot of people who like to downplay Dragon Ball for whatever reason and hate it, either thinking other animes are better or Dragon Ball is just bad in general, and they want to talk down about it. And the fans saying that the only reason the show is popular is because of nostalgia, and that we watched this when we were kids and we grew up into it, and that's why. And it's not really a good show. If it came out today in this modern time, it wouldn't be popular or as popular as it was when it first came out. And newer fans don't really care about it or wouldn't enjoy the series. And the only people that do are either hardcore Dragon Ball fans or people that watch when they're kids and they're just like, stuck to it because of nostalgia, alone. And I wanted to make this video because I'm sick and tired of seeing people make that argument and that statement about the series, because it's just not true. And there's many, many arguments against that and why that isn't true. And I don't feel like the people that are saying this from a point of actual proper criticism or arguments. I feel like they're only saying this from a standpoint of bias, hatred towards it. And yes, you can be biased towards something or have a hatred towards it, but still be, reasonable with your criticism. Some people, when they don't like something, they cannot be, they can't criticize properly. They always let their biases take over, and their biases and their feelings towards a certain thing to judge and control their opinion on stuff. Whereas there's other people that might have a negative opinion on something, but still can be objective with what they're, feeling towards, right? So there could be like a certain types of a genre of music where like somebody's like, I don't like this type of music, I hate it. And then the person that is kind of just completely biased will be saying, I hate it and this genre is trash, there's nothing good about it. Whereas the other person says, I hate it, I personally don't like it, but I can see what is great about it, and then point out the good and bad stuff about the genre, instead of just completely shitting on it. And I feel like these fans are on the former side of that, where they're more so not criticizing it fairly. They don't like it, so they have one stupid criticism or argument that they use for their point to be like, yep, this is legit. It's only popular because of nostalgia. And they don't think a little, because if you did, you would have been able to realize that that's a stupid argument, because there's many things that have disproven the whole nostalgia argument. For one, Dragon Ball is still popular and still getting good tons of views. And this is not just from, people rewatching it. This is from new viewership. This is newer viewers, newer audiences, younger people, people who have been newly introduced to anime, and people who are new to just Dragon Ball in general, even if they have watched other animes. So that is completely wrong. The statistics have shown that the popularity of Dragon Ball has been consistent, not just because of the fans that got into it in the first place, but newer fans that are coming into the series as a whole. So that is completely retarded argument to make at that point already. So if you're gonna say it's nostalgia, that would mean that the fan base wouldn't grow. It would just stay the same, and it would only be the people who originally came into it, and no new people coming would be coming in, or at least a low amount of people, which is just wrong statistic wise. Even like a year ago, the most one of the top 10 most searched people in the world, or men in the world, was Goku. He was the only fictional character that was one of the most top 10 searched people in the world on Google. The rest were like actual real men, and they were like athletes, like soccer players that are known worldwide, like Ronaldo or Messi. How the fuck did Goku make it into the top 10 as a fictional character from a show that has at this point hasn't been, at that point even Diamond didn't come out, so there wasn't anything to come out of Dragon Ball for a while, popularity wise, but it was still being searched up. Why? Because Dragon Ball is still very iconic and popular, even from this day and age. And it can't just be simply because of old fans. It can't have this much of a legacy just because of that. And then also the other big argument that they have against this stupid one, because they're not really saying anything deep. All they're saying is the surface level is nostalgia, and they're not really putting in any real argument or showing any proof that is just purely nostalgia. They're just saying that just to discredit it. But it's also kind of a problem. It's kind of a problem to take their opinion seriously, because it's one thing if you're somebody who's non-biased, right, or have no hatred or feeling on certain thing, and you're neutral saying that, then it's like, okay, they have no skin in the game, so it makes sense. But when you have a bias and hatred towards it and you say something like that, it's harder to believe. So you have to actually show proof or evidence or have a legit, deeper argument. You can't just say some surface level shit like that because then it just sounds like you're a hater and you just are trying to discredit, right? But the biggest problem I've seen against that is just not true. If you go on YouTube, right? It's been disproven countless times. If you see people who are getting into Dragon Ball, you'll realize that even new people are enjoying it. And for to say that, well, it would have held up well against the modern anime, the way it's stylistically done, that's not true. There's a lot of older series that are still running. That are, creatively being written the same way they were being written as old animes were, and they're still popular. One Piece is still, continuing as an old anime and having the old anime style of, not having a seasonal anime, coming out weekly, slower pace and stuff like that, yet it's still popular. So don't give me that bullshit about, oh, the old school style is not going to work in modern day when we've clearly seen still shows like One Piece and even Naruto when it was still around being able to do good. So that's bullshit. And Bleach coming back has been killing it. Yes, I know it's a little bit different than what it was before because they are a little bit more seasonal, but it's still killing it. A lot of these older animes and their stories are not, it's not like, oh, they were good in the past, but now they're not good. Not good. It's just that certain things people don't have as much as, acceptance or patience for, like, slow pacing. But we've seen One Piece doing it and nobody having really a problem. But when it comes to Dragon Ball, right? A lot of people say, oh, it's only in the older people, but like I said, when you go on YouTube, right? And I'm somebody who watches quite a bit of YouTube, and I watch a lot of reaction channels. If I'm being honest, I do like seeing people react to certain things that I like. It's just, it's just something that I like. And one of the things I like seeing people react to is like animes that I like, especially Dragon Ball. For a while, a lot of people didn't really do Dragon Ball reactions. I felt like. Because it's such a popular, well-known show that I felt like most people already seen it, and it was mostly other shows like Naruto, even though that's big, it wasn't as well seen, so that's why there was more reactions for that. But I've seen more lately and recently people doing reactions to Dragon Ball. And this has just proven this whole narrative in general because from what I've seen is a lot of people that have been newly introduced to Dragon Ball from different walks of life and different situations when it comes to Dragon Ball or anime. And all of them have come to agree that it's a good show and it enjoyed it and went and turned into fans. So these are the differences that I've seen, right? It's usually these YouTube channels where they're reacting to the show. It's either one of the, it's sometimes couples doing it or friends, but it's one of the person there that actually knows the series. Like if it's like a boyfriend or girlfriend doing it or a husband or wife doing it, the husband usually is the one who knows uh Dragon Ball, watched it, and their partner doesn't, and then they introduce their partner to the anime itself, and then they watch it with them. So they have one person who's not new, but the other person is. And then sometimes there's just channels where they're completely new, and there's a groups of friends that are new to it. So there's like different styles with that, where you have a mix of some people that have already seen it, so obviously they're fans there, and then you have the new ones. And then there's ones that are just completely new. But then there's also ones where there's a little bit more difference in there too, right? So there's some people that have never seen anime. There's people that don't watch anime but have started reacting to Dragon Ball and enjoying it. So we have people who don't even watch anime watching an anime like Dragon Ball and enjoying it. Then we have people who have watched animes but just haven't seen Dragon Ball and have only heard the, some stuff about it, and it's mostly the stereotypical stuff of them screaming a lot, taking many episodes to charge, and you know, yelling out the names of the attack and buff guys just hitting each other. That's all they know. It's not like they have a negative opinion on it. It's just they only know the stereotypes, and then they're getting new into Dragon Ball, but they've seen other animes. Then there's the other side of fans where they actually have admitted that they hated Dragon Ball or didn't care for it. They're like, "Oh, I'm a Naruto fan, and I've never really liked Dragon Ball." They didn't watch it, but they didn't like it because they love Naruto and they felt like Dragon Ball was just, it was just dumb guys fighting and it was just, meathead shit. And then some people like One Piece and didn't like Dragon Ball, but these were people that watched other animes but just didn't like Dragon Ball at all. And then there's people who, like I said, they didn't watch anime at all, or they might know some stuff about anime, newly watching Dragon Ball. And even with all these different situations, even with the people who had negative opinions on Dragon Ball before even seeing it, watching Dragon Ball actually have enjoyed it. So if you go on YouTube and you go to different channels that have done reactions on Dragon Ball, whether it is a person who is already seeing the show and introducing it to somebody new, that new person enjoys it and appreciates Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, or whether it's somebody who is new to anime, finally watching anime, watching Dragon Ball, they're loving it. If it's somebody that is, watched other animes but doesn't know that much about Dragon Ball, finally watching Dragon Ball, have loved it. And then there's people that have literally, before even watching it, judged it, had a negative opinion towards it, or looked down upon it, or even favorited other animes and felt like it was not on the level, and that's why have watched it for the first time and enjoyed it. Uh, so to say that it's only cared by nostalgia is kind of bullshit, because if that was the case, this wouldn't be happening. If that was truly the case, that these guys, if it was just nostalgia, right? Then these guys that are introducing their partners or their friends to the show, their friends wouldn't be liking it. Their partners wouldn't be liking it. They wouldn't be enjoying it. They would have been like, yeah, I get why you like it, but I just don't like it. The people that are new to anime, especially them, they usually have more of a negative opinion towards anime. They wouldn't be liking it. The people who despise Dragon Ball especially wouldn't be liking it. If they prejudged it before and watching it or enjoying it, they already came into the show with a negative mindset, yet it was so good for them that even with that negative mindset, it changed their opinion on it. So how the fuck are you going to tell me that it's only nostalgia when I have literally seen an actual, evidence, real people reacting to the show for a first time and fucking enjoying it? So how is that nostalgia? These guys have no nostalgia. You can't use that argument. You guys only say that to put us down because us real fans and hardcore fans love to defend Dragon Ball, but you guys want to use a kind of argument against us. But then when you see new fans who fucking recently watched it or just getting into it, especially people who've only seen more new gen anime and are more accustomed to the newer stuff, are watching it. So it's basically these newer audience that you guys said that if it came out at this time, which yes, it didn't come out at this time, but they're watching it at this time, right? And they're enjoying it. So how the fuck is it going to be worse or less popular coming out at this time when even when people at this time that are watching it are enjoying it? It's just fucking dumb. Like I said, people want to discredit this series. They want to put it down and they want to make it sound like it's worse. And these haters they're fucking, like, I hate when people do retarded shit like this where they don't like something or they have an opinion on something, even if they like something, they say the most surface level shit and they don't go in depth at all. And when you look at it in more in depth, you're like, oh, they're talking out their fucking ass. They don't know what they're saying, or what they are saying is true, but is just, overly exaggerated. For example, like the Joker and Batman's relationship, right? A lot of Batman fans are like saying, they did make it sound like it's really deep, that the Joker is the opposite of Batman, and that's why they're such a great counterpoint to each other. And I'm not saying that it's bad, but when you look at it deeper than that surface level statement, you think about it, you're like, well, yeah, obviously, but that's just common with every, superhero and villain relationship where the hero fights for justice and not killing and doing the right thing, and the bad person is selfish and murders people and has no code, no justice, they're chaos and all the shit. It's like that's not anything really deep or creative to see. So just because Batman and Joker have that relationship doesn't mean they have any crazy or unique relationship. It's a very basic and mundane relationship. Yes, when you say a surface level, it sounds really deep. It's like, yeah, he's the opposite of him. That's so cool. But when you think about deeper, it's like, well, that's just in general how superhero stories work. And you can find countless other characters that have a villain who is the exact opposite of them. And most heroes have a more strict code, and then these guys do the opposite of that strict code. It's not that deep, right? But that's a surface level argument that people try to pass on as deep. But the only reason it sounds deep is because people don't look deeper into it. It's only a surface level argument that people look at in a surface level light, right? Same thing with saying Dragon Ball's just for nostalgia and people have colored glasses. That might sound like, oh yeah, it's actually a good argument, but it's a surface level argument because when you look deep into it to see if it actually holds up to scrutiny, it does not. And how do you hold it up to scrutiny? You hold it up to the statistics of newer viewership coming in. And there is a newer viewership, so clearly it is still popular. And it's not popular because of nostalgia, because there's no base of nostalgia for them there. And then when you look at it, even evidently to yourself, physically, when you go on YouTube and you see new people getting into Dragon Ball, you see them also fucking enjoying it. If it was just nostalgia, guess what? The only people that would be liking it would be people like us. It wouldn't be new people getting introduced to it that would be liking it. It wouldn't be people who are hating on it before getting into it and liking it. So how the fuck is that happening of his only nostalgia? Nostalgia can only carry those who are already bought into the thing. Of its people who are not bought in or just coming into it, it cannot take that. So the show cannot be based off of nostalgia. And then the other argument will, oh, it's just the fight scenes, and it's not the story or the characters. Okay, if it's just the fucking fight scenes and not the story and the characters, why are these people watching the entire show that's hundreds of episodes, multiple stories, and multiple minutes and hours of their time taken out to watch the show of its only good fights and nothing else? It's stupid. That's such a dumb thing. So you're telling me that somebody's gonna be willing here to sit here to watch a show that's over 100 episodes long just for a couple of fights? I'm wasting that much of my time to watch a story I don't give a shit about just to watch a couple of fights. You do know most people, when there's like even a movie that's like an hour or two long, people don't want to watch a movie that is not good but has good fighting. There's countless people that have seen, like, there's like a martial arts movie, an action movie or whatever, right? That isn't well written and is very surface level. So the people like, I don't really care about the show, or the movie. But they can watch it. It's only 2 hours. It's not going to be that much of their time wasted. But they're like, I don't really care about the movie, but I heard there's some good fight scenes. So they just watch the fight scenes. They haven't seen the movie. They will never watch the movie, but they've seen the fight scenes. Yet that's only 2 hours out of the time. But you're telling me that people would watch multiple episodes that are like around 20 minutes to 30 minutes long of a show just for the fight scenes. So they wouldn't just take 2 hours of the time to watch a movie for the entire story with the fight scenes and just skip that and just watch the fight scenes. But they would definitely watch hundreds of episodes of a show that has nothing good in it besides the fight scenes just to watch the fight scenes, where they could just watch it on YouTube. And there's countless videos on YouTube where it doesn't have the story. It's just purely the fights. Even ones where they edited out all the talking and all the story and it was just purely the fight. And guess what? Are people going just saying, you know what? I'm not going to watch Dragon Ball because I don't care about it, but I heard the fights look cool, so I'm just going to watch on YouTube only the fights? No, you don't. You see these people watching the show. So why would they go through the entire show just to watch it if it's just the fights were that good? There's no way that the fights in any story could be so good that you're willing to watch that much just to see the fights and not care about anything else. So that's also not true. Because if they wanted to do that, they could have just gone on YouTube and searched up Goku versus Frieza, just a fight purely. You can literally find the full fight between Goku and Frieza with no talking, no dialogue, just straight up hands. So if they want to watch that and not see any wasting time on story, they could have just done that, but they don't. Why? Because simply it is due to the fact that the show is actually enjoyable. They do not need to, it's not so bad that they're like, I just can't watch the show. I just need to see the fights. Because the show is good enough on its own merit without needing to use the fights itself. Because like I said, if it was the case, they would have just gone and done that. Why waste your time on that? Why not just cut out the middleman and go directly to the source, That doesn't make any sense. So there's also that argument there. So yeah, this whole nostalgia thing, I just think is kind of dumb because it could be a decent argument, but it does fall. It is a decent argument to a certain extent. I'm not saying it isn't true at all, but I feel like this is just an excuse for them to say it's shit and it wouldn't work in this day to put it down. But then when you also look at it in like, you actually, do the research or you look at it more in depth, you find out that actually it doesn't really make any sense because one, it's still getting a newer fan base. Two, if it's just for fights and stuff, then why are people watching the whole show? And then three, you having all these people on YouTube reacting to it and enjoying it. And we've seen a lot of people, I've seen a lot of YouTubers, and it's not like they're just doing it just to like it, because I've seen a lot of these YouTubers who reacted to a series or a show or an anime, and they stopped, and people ask them, why did they stop? They're saying, oh, if I'm being honest, I just really didn't enjoy the show. I know I'm not going to have this fake nostalgia, or not nostalgia, or, fake reactions, or acting like I like the show if I don't. But they don't do that with Dragon Ball. Why? Because they like it. So it's not also, because I know some people might use that argument that, oh, they're only doing it because, they're just doing it for the content or fake, reactions or whatever. But I've seen all these reaction channels literally quit doing other animes or other reactions simply because they didn't care for the series or didn't enjoy the series. They're like, I don't care for the series, and I was playing it up at a certain point and I just couldn't do it anymore. But when it comes to Dragon Ball, they don't do that. Even after Dragon Ball is over, they're watching the other subsequent shows. They're still enjoying it. They're talking about it. They bought like merch for Dragon Ball. So clearly they have had an interest in it. If they didn't, they would have just quit right there and then, right? So I think that's the biggest argument I have against that whole nostalgia thing is when you go on YouTube, you can see how people do it. If you ask people, I bet if you even tell somebody in your life, hey, yo, watch Dragon Ball. You might not like it, but who knows? Just watch it. I bet you more often than not, the person's gonna enjoy it. Even if they're not like, this is the greatest thing ever, or this is my favorite anime, they're still gonna be like, I actually really enjoyed that. That was pretty funny. The characters were pretty cool. Because in the end of the day, it is actually a really good, fun show. It doesn't have to be always really deep and go through many different themes and very I guess you could say, very artistic, right? It's like saying that, movies that are just for fun and entertainment aren't good, and only good movies are the ones that are artistic and very deep and very political or whatever. But that's not true. A lot of people have missed the old movies where it's just dumb fun. A lot of people watched action movies, martial arts movies that weren't heavy and like, deeper themes or, intricate stories or plot, but they enjoyed it for one, the fights, two, the comedy, three, for the funness. It was just a fun little thing. So that's how I see Dragon Ball, right? I see like an 80s action movie or martial arts movie where it's not too crazy and deep with the whole story, but it's still fun, enjoyable story, lovable characters, cool fights, and just a cool theme as a whole. And people still like it. And if they didn't, because that whole argument saying that, it has to be deep and have all these other like thought provoking themes or very depressing stories and stuff or very emotional stuff for it to be good, then that would mean that only artistic movies would be good. Only these movies that have put all this time in the writing would be good. And any movie or show that has, is just fun and entertaining or purely, for martial arts or whatever, or for fighting is not popular. But that's not true. Those movies are always popular. And even people nowadays kind of miss those ones and kind of are resenting these newer movies and the direction they're going in because they're going in more to that. And that's Sinnoh Dragon Ball. A lot of people might like stuff like Naruto and, Attack on Titan where they have deeper themes, where they have more, sadder storylines. But there's also people who just enjoy a fun, good fight, a story, a cool, crazy shit happening, iconic stuff happening. And that's more than enough for them. But a lot of people want to make it sound like, well, I like a certain thing being a certain way. So since I like it this way, then the other way is not cool. Then the other way is not good. I like Attack on Titan because it's very deep and it has all these other themes and it's dark. So that's the style of shows I like. So that means that if a show is not like that, then it's bad. Oh, Dragon Ball is not like what Attack on Titan, so it's not good. It's like no. Attack on Titan is good, but it's good for its own thing, and Dragon Ball is good for its own thing too. People have many enjoyments to other things, but a lot of people are biased when it comes to I don't like something, then that thing is not good. If I like something, then that thing is good. Even though a lot of times, sometimes somebody might like something that's good, that's actually shit, and hate something that's actually good, but they just hate it. So that's the way I see it. But yeah, I want to know what you guys think about the whole nostalgia thing. It kind of irks me a lot when I hear it. It pisses me off because it's just not true, and it feels like these guys just don't want to give Dragon Ball or Toriyama any credit for the story or the writing, and the intricacies of it. And they do have deeper themes. There's a lot of Dragon Ball YouTubers that talk about the themes and the story and the plot and what happened. And there's a lot of pretty good video essays about Goku as a character, his story, and also there's a lot of more deeper themes that aren't as surface level as other shows where they're like, oh, this is the state of the government, the politics, and the society, and how this and that. There's more deeper themes like, from like stories like Journey to the West or Taoist beliefs or beliefs of monk beliefs and all this stuff. That's intricate in and a part of Dragon Ball, but a lot of people don't understand that because they're not as cultured or understand Japanese or Chinese or Asian culture or these Taoist or practices or beliefs, but they're embedded in Dragon Ball's story, and that makes it more enriched. And when you look at these videos that explain that in these video essays, you see that it actually has more depth to it than you guys would expect. Because those other shows, they're more talking about themes that are universal that we can also connect with, whereas Dragon Ball has more themes that are more embedded into its culture of like Chinese and Japanese mythology and their religious system and their philosophies and their beliefs. So it's just its own specific thing, but it's still pretty in depth, and that showcases there's depth to Dragon Ball still there. But yeah, I just feel like it's dumb. And like I said, if it was just purely nostalgia, the newer people that are watching it wouldn't have enjoyed it. The people that that have been new to anime wouldn't have been enjoying it. The people that don't like Dragon Ball wouldn't have been enjoying it. The people that love other animes wouldn't have been enjoying it. It wouldn't have been as popular. So yeah, it's definitely not nostalgia. If it is, then prove why. Try to disprove those arguments that I made right there and then. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed and stay tuned for next time.